Hello class, let's continue on with our lesson. We've already done our basic shapes and we've also drawn our basic mannequin shape, so that you should be used to the proportions. You should understand why we use the basic shapes to be able to create all the variations on the cylinder, how we all fit within the rectangle, the cylinders do, and the whole shape does. So having done that, we're going to move into now how we can really simplify our mannequin down. So we can literally do that by bringing its simplest form of the bare structure, and that way that's really helpful when we go to place our figures in artworks. We can know that we can quite simply see quickly what dimensions to make it, and without going to any trouble drawing. Get the little basics done right first. So what we're going to do, we'll start the lesson by just doing a quick recap of how we did our mannequin, and then we'll do our simplified form. Now, when we did our last lesson, we were talking about how the mannequin is a 1 in 8. So I have my different mannequin today. So 1 head height. So that 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4 brings us here to the top of the legs, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4 brings us to our feet. So we had 1 head height 8 times. We did that as a 3 centimeter head. That made the whole piece 24 centimeters. But today, just to show you don't have to stick with that, it's just the ratio, not the sizing. So we're going to today look at making our head 2 centimeters. So 8 times 2 is 16. So the first thing we're going to do is rule ourselves a line down. That's 16 centimeters. I've already ruled mine. Okay, so what it is, I have marked the 2 centimeters because that's our head height, just to show what that ratio is. So I've written up there, it's 1 in 8, which equals 2 to 16. Okay, so that you know where we're coming from. So half of 16 is 8, so 8 is going to be our halfway line on the body today, which is here. Okay, so let's get a start on drawing him, shall we? Now the first thing we want to draw obviously is the head. Put a little pencil of the head there. I'll do it in charcoal so it's easy for you to see. Unfortunately it's not as fine a work. It's not as fine when I do it with the charcoal, because I do have the willow charcoal, so I don't have it at a sharp enough point for too much detail, but let's just do this. So we'll start by putting in the head. Now we talked about putting our basic circle and then bringing it down like we did when we learned about our faces. Under that line, the 2 centimeter line for the head height, we'll just draw a circle for the neck of the mannequin. I've got a photocopy here so you can see that simply. That's that area. We then, under that line, draw our slope, the shoulders of the mannequin. Now, this whole square, remember the waist is halfway, so halfway is here between the 4 and 6. Just put yourself a little mark for that, and then literally just bring the mannequin down to join that. The shoulders down to the waist. We then need the waist in, which as we know stays within the confines of the body, and we'll bring it down the hips. We'll bring down the hips to that line. And that's the first half of mannequin drawn. Once, as you see, once you've done it once, you can do it quite simply, quite quickly. I'll just give you 1 second to catch up, but you can always pause the video anyway. So, all right. Then we had the circles here, just below the line, and they're the joints for the movement of the leg. We then drew a line straight down, just for a guide, and we found our halfway mark from this rectangle. So we are now looking the kneecaps are halfway through there, so that's on our 12. Put those in, and then we simply joined the hip region down through the thigh to the kneecap on both sides. There it is. Okay, let's put in our ankle. Obviously the ankle bone is smaller than the kneecap, so the larger circle is here. Slightly smaller for the knee, a little bit smaller for the ankle. Okay, and the same thing, do your cylinder shape. Coming a little bit thicker at the top for the calves of the leg, and then down. We'll just put one foot coming sidewards, and we'll just put the other one coming forward. How are you going with that? Now the only thing left to do are his arms, done the same way as the legs, but we put the ball here for the shoulder joint. Bring the line straight down, because this is what we did last time. There's no movement in our mannequin yet. We're just putting him in that, we're just putting the mannequin in that rectangle. Around the waist area, around halfway, is the elbow. Draw your cylinders in for the tops of the arms. And then just below that line, somewhere below that line, you can put the wrist. Now this mannequin actually has it a bit longer than the one we had last week. It's actually quite a bit lower down. Like with people, mannequins tend to vary. Different manufacturers make them slightly different. So if you've got your own mannequin there, feel free to please use that and do it the way it is. I'm just keeping it just below the line, because that's the one we did last week, and I'm just trying to keep it uniform for you. But there you have it. If you wanted to put in the chest area and the abdominal area, feel free to put those in. That's a great little addition to your friend. Okay, so there he is drawn. So that didn't take you too long this week, obviously, because you are more familiar with the dimensions of it. We've done our head at 2 centimeters, so halfway here is 8 centimeters for the top of the legs, the bottom of the hip region, and then our feet are on 16. Halfway between this area is where we have the waistline, and halfway in this area is where we have the kneecaps. So it's very simple. Once you've got the head in, just dividing both of those regions in half. This is when we're doing an 8:1 model. Okay. Mine's already, it's already a bit dirty using charcoal. Now if we were going to simplify that same mannequin, we would, let's do the head the same. So we're going to stick with our 2 centimeter head. We're just going to do a little bit of a straight line there for his neck. We'll just put the line across for his shoulders. Put a little ball there for where the joints will be. Now we're going to keep him straight up and down like this one that we've just drawn is. We're going to pretty much mirror this one just so you can see how it works. So he is standing straight, so this is the spine. We'll keep that straight too. You don't need to draw this in, but here, if you wanted a little mark just to show you where we are, halfway between these is where we've got the waist. You can put a little mark there if it makes it easier for you, but that's not important for what we're doing. What we're looking at is half the length here will be the hips. So we want to have the hips drawn for this guy. And we can put a little mark there for the joints. Just below the hip, we'll bring our leg down. Now kneecaps halfway, remember. You can even change the shape slightly if you want, just to show that you can. And we'll just following with that. So it's just a simplified version of this. Head, shoulders, we're marking where the hips are and the joints down to the feet. Then for the arms, they came around the waistline area. So just bring it down for your half, bring them across and put your hand in. And do the same with this side. And he's done a really simplified format. So you can see that will take you no time at all to draw, and you can already start to map out how your figure's going to stand, where you want it to be. Simple. Love it. Got to keep life simple. Got to keep your drawing simple to start with. You don't want to be labouring over it until you know you got your dimensions right. Okay, so let's just change him slightly. Now, we've drawn this line all the way across. So when I started, I drew my 0 to 16 and I just ruled a line all the way across at 0, all the way across at 8 and all the way across at 16. And that way we're going to be able to do a couple of them and just see how they stay in correlation with each other. So if you didn't see that I had done that at the beginning, you want to do that now, you can. Other than that, we'll just keep going. Now, what I want to do is put him on a slight angle this time. So let's just move his head over a bit, shall we? So we're putting him on a bit of a tilt here now. See that? Just a bit of a tilt. So that means his shoulders down and his head's on a bit of an angle there. Now, here's his little neck. We'll bring that down to his waist and his shoulders. Remember, we just said they're on a tilt. Now, if his shoulders are tilting down, then his waist is going to tilt as well. If he's upright, they are both the same. If you tilt it, they are still both the same. I'll draw a little line on the back so you can see. So there's the straight down and there's the shoulders across. And you can see from that it always creates a T. So you've always got, when the person is straight up or not twisted, but you can always see that T because the structure of the body doesn't change. They are still connected, the rib cage and everything that way. So I'll just put that there so you can see what I mean. All right, but what we have done is, although he's on an angle now, so our T section's on an angle, I'm going to leave his body the same as this and this one. We're going to keep that straight down. All right, you with me? Okay, so we'll keep this fairly straight. This will have a bend, and then we might even bend our knee more this time. If we bend it, it's going to be coming up, which means down at this end, it's also going to be up in height, and then we'll just bring it down to the line. For this leg, maybe we'll keep our circle there. We'll keep this one straight, just so that you're not making it too hard for yourself. So the only variation we've really done, we've put a little kink in the leg. This one's the same, but you can see if you bring it up higher, it's got to be higher than that kneecap, and your ankle will also be higher than the other ankle. This arm will then come down, and we might even put this arm up. As long as these are around your waist height, so this height and this height should be about the same, here and here the same, your hands should be the same. Our same man, our same mannequin, simplified, but we have the opportunity to move him around. We might just do one more of those where we'll adjust the hip a little bit as well. So before I do that, I'm just going to show you how that really does play out. I might get a different colour, because that way you'll be able to see it better, to create the various difference, just so you can see what's happening if you're a little bit lost. So that is our top region, and this. So we've got our chest area and abdominal area still the same. Here, chest area, abdominal area. Yep. So the last one we'll do, we'll move the hip this time. We might put it that the hip that's one way and his hip's the other way. Mannequin doesn't like to move that much. We're going to do it anyway. So let's put our head here, like we've been doing. And for this one, we'll bring the body this way to the waist, so halfway along, there's our waist. But this time we're going to take it this way. So we're going to, unlike this one with that slight bend, I'm just bending it a bit further here. So our shoulders, because we need to keep the T, our shoulders are here and here up. Yeah. But this time we're going to put the base of our hips on the opposite angle. We'll then bring the ball joint down to the knee. And we might do that same thing. The hips going up, we'll bring the knee up here. Knee up, ankle up. We'll go with our hip up. Give you a moment to draw that. Okay, so with this one, why don't we put our hands on our hip for this guy? So the length to there, and we'll just put his hand like so. Maybe we'll have him looking out, so maybe we'll put an elbow there, and the hand there, looking over the face. Very simplified form. And you can create even a nice artwork with those when you actually get some bit of personality into it. But just to show you what we did, we'll look at this next time, but there is a contraction and an expansion there at the waist. So when you join them, they won't fully join without the waist, but that's him done. And just to show you that they don't always have to be those measurements, like we did a 3 centimetre head height. This week we've done a 2 centimetre head height. Really, as you move on, you don't need to really put any measurements. When you're drawing a scene, you can literally go, I want my figure to be this high in the scene. Here's my halfway point, so I know the legs are going to fit in here. My head is 1/4 of the top half here. So here's my head, often smaller than people expect it to be. He's a bit wide in the hips. And you can see that already we've got a person in the scene. We've done nothing very much. If we go, I don't like the position of that, I think I'll put that person leaning forward. you can literally do the same thing. There's your line. Find your halfway. If they're bending, just follow that around. The head also then will follow around, so the head will be there, the shoulders, and here will be your figure, and then you still can put your legs through. So you can see it doesn't always have to, even though we're talking 1 in 8, it really simplifies even more down to just making sure that your person has the top of their legs, the bottom of their hips at the halfway mark. And that's actually also true if they're laying down. So even if your figure is laying down, you would have the head, the body comes here, the leg would come to here. You could put one leg up. Every angle. So the main thing is the dimensions of from your height. Make sure that your halfway mark is there. And I'd like you to really have some practice. So get a chance to just do some simple little stick figures. Try moving them on different angles. If you own a mannequin, you can even turn it around. But just start playing with these. Start with it being straight up and down so that it's simple. You could just start by then redrawing him and moving one arm. Then you could move it further. Then you can move a leg. Then you can move one part of the body like we did here. You can turn it quite strongly. So just remember, as one side goes up, both do. Other than that, it's quite simple. You shouldn't have too much trouble with that. Have a little practice run and feel free to send me any images that you do of it. You might come up with some really great, crazy poses. I'm happy for that. Okay, enjoy that.